Hey, it's the Second Opinion podcast with Dr. Paul Kolodzik, where we talk about anything and everything medical, from a sore throat to the future of AI medicine. Dr. Paul is an ER doc and certified in addiction medicine and metabolic health, as well as a best-selling Amazon author. You can learn more about Dr. Paul at his website, drpaulkolodzik.com.
Dr. Paul, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Terry. How are you?
I'm doing fine. So we're back here again for another episode of the Second Opinion podcast with Dr. Paul Kolodzik.
On a rainy Wednesday morning. Yesterday, I worked yesterday.
It's crazy.
In the emergency department, and I guess yesterday was record rainfall in Dayton, Ohio. Like over 2 inches of rain, I guess the highest ever in a single 24-hour period.
It was crazy. It's still crazy today if you look out there. It's all black.
Yeah.
So we're in mid-August, heading down into September.
Yeah.
Is there anything that we should know before we jump into this podcast about things that change, the seasons change? Does that bring on any kind of flus or why is that?
Well, the flu season is always the colder season. Yeah, so as we get into the fall, not quite yet though. That's why you get your flu shots in the fall.
Yeah, but is it because we're inside? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think it's inside. Yeah, it's people are closer together and
All right.
Kids are back in school.
So something new on this podcast for our continued listeners out there, we're going to be taking questions from you all. Instead of us talking and bantering back and forth, we thought we'd open this up and let you guys send us an email with a question that you might have related to any ER-related medicine, addiction medicine, metabolic health. Have I forgot anything?
No, just, health system issues. If you had a healthcare experience and you wondered why it was handled this way, we might be able to offer some insight.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to have anybody out there who's interested in some, could we call this not free advice? What do we want to call this? Just
free advice is usually worth what you pay for it,
exactly.
Right? Yeah. So let's not call it. No, we're just topics of discussion based on people's experiences or questions. So
okay.
And I guess we're asking them to send this to info@drkolo.com. info@doctorkolo.com.
Yeah.
And we'll try and answer these questions on the air, so to speak, I guess, right?
On the air, has little red lights flashing at us.
Yeah.
Hey, so one of the things I wanted to talk about today is 3 weeks ago, I went and I took my first dose of GLP-1. I'm a diabetic. I've been on insulin for a number of years, long acting in the morning, and then you take a shot with every meal. And my healthcare provider and my pharmacist suggested that I try maybe a low-dose GLP-1 to see if that would smooth things out, quit going low at night.
Because you had a previous bad experience with GLP-1s way back in the day, right?
When it first came out, I had the worst experience ever. Took the shot. There wasn't a small dose. You took just one dose, whatever that dose was. I can't remember. And I felt awful for days. I couldn't wait for that week to be up.
Sick, nausea.
The whole 9 yards. I said, I'll never do that again.
Yeah.
I did it again, and this time the experience is so much better. I take a 0.25 milligram, which is the starting dose.
Sure. Yeah.
And I've been able to kind of cut back or eliminate completely my mealtime insulin.
See, so that's a big deal. So you're basically saying, correct me if I'm wrong, but you went from 4 shots a day to 1 or 2 shots a day, right?
Most likely 1.
Yeah, that's
Only
great,
if I'm
Terry.
eating something crazy do I say, well, maybe I should give myself a shot just to kind of overcome anything.
That's not the way you're supposed to use insulin. Eat what you want and then give yourself a shot to compensate. You aren't supposed to do that.
I know, I don't.
Okay.
I really don't. But
Okay.
sometimes if you see like that Milano sub in the bread, you go, oh shit, that's really going to cause me an issue there.
Okay.
So, but anyway, my numbers have been really good.
Good.
I'm really impressed with it, and I haven't had much side effects. A little bit, but not much. And I'm hoping just to stay on this really, really low dose.
Yeah.
Would they call that microdosing?
It'd be microdosing. Yeah.
And is that a thing?
Yeah. It's a big thing to try and stay at the lowest dose you can, indefinitely. And hopefully you're accompanying that with the lifestyle changes we've always talked about.
I'm trying to.
Yeah.
No, my only question would be, do I go up 1 dose and maybe try to cut back on my long acting? I just don't want to lose weight.
Talk to your doctor, Terry.
You are my
Yeah,
doctor.
so no, I'm not your doctor. I am not your doctor. Okay. Just make sure you're getting your protein and doing your strength training.
I'm doing both.
Good.
All right, so you have a bunch of GLP breaking news, as we're going to call it.
Yeah, so this is, I'm just going to run through this stuff. This is just based on my news feeds over the last couple of weeks. So I guess this is pretty much the GLP-1 miracle network now. So, it's just amazing. The genie is out of the bottle on these medicines. They're going to become the most prescribed medicines in the history of the world. And, there's a little bit more news over the course of the last couple of weeks that we can bring up. The big one is that later this year or early in 27, retatrutide will be here, which is the triple acting GLP-1 this is a Lilly product. I don't think it has a brand name yet. But, this is the one where people have lost up to like 28% of their body weight for people with high BMIs to start. And what's different about this drug is that it has a third mechanism of action, which I was really not familiar with previously. But the third mechanism, remember, Wegovy, the standard Ozempic, had a single mechanism of action primarily based on its hormonal influence. And then Mounjaro came out, Zepbound, which has a couple ways that it acts. But the third way that retatrutide acts is this is the first GLP-1 that has what is called a glucagon receptor agonist. So what that means is it acts like the hormone glucagon in your system. And I wasn't aware of this, but apparently glucagon helps you burn more energy. It's a natural hormone, and it helps you burn more energy. It does two things. That does many things, but one of the two things that this third mechanism of action does is it promotes thermogenesis. What the heck does that mean, Terry?
You've used a lot of terms that I'm really not quite. Go ahead. What does that mean?
It means you burn more energy.
Thermogenesis?
So thermogenesis, it just means that your metabolism is geared up. So apparently a glucagon agonist, a glucagon is a natural hormone in your system, so it helps you burn more energy and specifically causes, here we go again, hepatic fat oxidation. But that's not that hard to figure out. Hepatic is liver. Most people, I think, know that. And it means you burn more fat in your liver. So it helps you reduce fatty liver disease. So retatrutide is going to be a big deal. I don't know what the brand name is going to be, but this is the most effective GLP-1 that is coming out to date. And I'm sure, for some people especially that don't get great responses from the other GLP-1s, it's going to be an option that they might look at.
Do they think this will bring extra weight loss?
Yeah, it showed the highest percentage of weight loss.
Which was, how much did it say?
I think from the studies I've seen, it can be at 28%. Think about that.
Think about that.
Yeah.
If you're 200 pounds, that's 40.
Yeah, one of the things we're going to talk about a couple other things related to GLP-1 news, and I guess the theme that I would like people to continue to remember is please don't get into the mode. Two things. Number one, please don't get into the mode where you're taking a shot, you're taking a miracle drug, and you don't have to do anything else. You don't have to do the dietary issues. You don't have to work out. You remember, as part of that 28%, a lot of that is muscle mass. So you got to be doing other things, protein and strength training primarily.
Wow.
So
that's crazy numbers.
And then in addition to that, Pfizer is getting into the game. Pfizer, another pharmaceutical company, and they are working on baribenatide.
Oh my God!
And that will probably be out next year.
And is that triple acting?
No, it's not as powerful as what we just discussed. I think it's more in the vein of Wegovy and Ozempic, with the weight loss more in the 13 to 15% range. But the reason I bring this up primarily is because it means another pharmaceutical company is getting into the game. The good thing about that for everybody is that means competition.
Right.
And competition brings down prices.
Right.
So it's going to provide access to more and more people. And so again, and I'm sure this is the third pharmaceutical company that I'm aware of that is going to have a product, and I'm sure there's more on the way.
When you said triple acting, I first thing that came to my mind was a toothpaste. Right?
Okay.
It's triple acting.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, so I'm sure there'll be some advertisements like that.
So let's talk about, again, the GLP-1 miracle network here, but just a couple other things that just on my news feeds in the last week. One is, something that's near and dear to my heart is decreasing alcohol use. A study published in the Journal of Addiction Medicine. We talked about this before. I've prescribed GLP-1s to patients on microdosing approach to help them reduce their alcohol use, and just confirmation that alcohol use is significantly reduced, a prospective study, which means We just didn't look at what happened to people when they took the drug. It means we enrolled people in a study and monitored their alcohol use and significant reductions in alcohol use.
Does it say by how much, or is it just say significant?
Yeah, my experience is generally it's in the 60 to 70% range.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it brings up the issue of, this is often not an abstinence approach. It's a harm reduction approach. And I'm a big believer in harm reduction, which is, you don't necessarily have to quit right out of the gate. Yeah, abstinence is not the only way. Let's cause some harm reduction to have you reduce the amount of alcohol you're using, and then you can decide if you want to quit or not. And some people just want to reduce the amount of alcohol they're drinking significantly, and other people want to quit. And of course, in my addiction medicine practice, I've used the combination of naltrexone, time-tested medicine to help reduce alcohol use. And then you microdose GLP-1s with it, and the result can be really quite remarkable.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So, and just other things. So this one I didn't expect. This is a British study that looked at people that started GLP-1s, obese people that started GLP-1s for weight loss. And they looked at the 9-month period before they started the GLP-1 and subsequent to the time they started the GLP-1. And they found that work absences were reduced 40 to 50%.
People not taking off work.
Yeah, people not taking off work.
What were they calling in for before? Do we know? Is it just...
Well, I think obesity is associated with many maladies, with many sicknesses, not to mention fatigue and depression.
Wow.
And so there was just a dramatic decrease in people from in time off work. So, it's a little bit counterintuitive to me because you would think, people starting GLP-1s, they're going to have nausea, they're going to maybe not be feeling well. But this study found the opposite, a significant reduction in time off work.
That's great to hear.
And I'm going to keep going here, okay?
The hits keep on rolling.
The hit keeps going. This is the last one. But I think very important. There's long been an association of breast cancer risk in women with obesity. Okay, if you're obese, your risk of breast cancer is higher.
Okay.
And one of the reasons for that is in postmenopausal women, once the ovaries reduce the amount of estrogen they're producing, fat in the body takes over, and fat produces estrogen. And if you reduce the amount of fat in the body, that has resulted in a decrease in estrogen levels in postmenopausal women, which then results in a decreased risk of breast cancer. And the study showed overall in women a decrease in breast cancer from 2.2% in postmenopausal women to 1.66%, which equates to about a 30% reduction in the risk of breast cancer. The study even went so far as to suggest, and this was an observational study, so it was a study that really just looked at women that were on GLP-1s and not on GLP-1s. It wasn't a study that enrolled patients.
Right.
It just kind of looked at an observational study, looked at it across. But then they went so far also as saying, and I want to back off and say, I'm not advocating this. If you have breast cancer or you're at high risk for breast cancer, Dr. Kolodzik is not saying that this reduces your risk. This is a single study, but these are in the press now, so you can go and find this information yourself and review it. So I'm not an OB-GYN doctor. I'm not an oncologist. I'm just telling you that I came across this article that showed this. But it even went so far as saying that in patients that had breast cancer, that the risk of recurrence could be diminished as well. So
it's crazy. I mean, on my TikTok feed, I get a lot of stuff popping in just because.
Oh, there you go. Is that where you get all your useful information?
Actually, that's where I got my degree in TikTok information.
Okay.
But there's a couple of people coming on there just telling you about Alzheimer's decrease and all kinds of other cancer decreases by use of GLP-1s. Yeah. So that's one reason I went on. It wasn't because I was concerned about my blood sugar, but I went on there because of the
other benefits.
The other benefits.
Well, it applies to you because of the risk of a second cardiac event, which has been proven.
Exactly.
So that's a true indication for a GLP-1. If you've had a cardiac event, they can decrease the risk of second cardiac events. That might have been in people that were obese. I'm not certain. It might have been in diabetics.
I'll take any advantage I can get.
Yeah.
So okay, but This whole thing is just absolutely stunning. How
Yeah,
every day we turn around, something else is coming.
the way the world has changed in the last 5 years from when I first started my metabolic health practice with an exclusive focus on continuous glucose monitoring and stabilizing blood sugar. And then the GLP-1s came in and have really taken the world by storm.
Yeah, this is like our 135th or something like that podcast. We go back 3 or 4 years. If you go back and listen to them where we were talking about this as like the early stages, the early world, right? We didn't have any idea that this was going to be like this.
Yeah. So, again, this is just information for people to consider. I'm not advocating that, everybody needs to go out and get on a GLP-1. I think there are certainly many, many people who should not be on a GLP-1, but in terms of the different conditions that seem to be effective, there's just additional news. And, this is what pharmaceutical companies do as well. All these studies were, I'm sure sponsored by pharmaceutical companies, or the majority of them. But once they have a medication and they've invested a lot of time in researching that medication, going through the FDA process and getting it to market, what they then do is look for what's called new indications. So what's the new indication for a GLP-1? So it started as diabetes only, then it got an indication for obesity, then they have gotten indications for sleep apnea, fatty liver disease, second cardiac event, and now there's all these other things out there that are they're being considered useful for.
Yeah, well, I look forward to the more news you bring like this. This is fantastic stuff.
Yeah, I want to be. I'm a little bit hesitant because I don't want to. Again, we joke about the miracle, nature of these drugs, but I'm just trying to make people conscious of what's going on. So, again, I'm going to come back to the fact that we're going to change the format a little bit, or at least add a format approach here of having people please give us your questions at info at doctorkolo.com, and we won't identify people, but if you have pertinent questions that you think other people might want to hear the answer to, then go ahead and send us some questions, and we'll see if we can answer them.
All right, Dr. Paul, thanks for joining us on today's podcast, the Second Opinion podcast with Dr. Paul Kolodzik. We'll hear you, see you, be with you all very soon.